Once upon a time, in the late 1800s, in a small house on Hawthorne Street, Dayton, Ohio, two brothers spent their days tinkering with gears, tools, and wooden toys. Their names were Wilbur and Orville Wright. They weren't rich. They weren't engineers. They didn't even finish college. But they had something more powerful: curiosity. As boys, their father once brought home a small toy helicopter made of bamboo and rubber bands. It spun into the air and stayed there for a few seconds. Then it fell. But in that short moment, the brothers saw magic. Wilbur whispered to Orville, "What if one day, people could fly like that?" It was a crazy dream. The kind of dream people laughed at. But to them, it wasn't funny. It was a challenge. And that tiny helicopter became the spark that started it all. By the early 1900s, the world was trying to fly. But no one could make it happen. Machines crashed. Engines failed. And newspapers called it a fool's pursuit. Still, in a small bicycle shop in Dayton, the Wright brothers were working late into the night. Not for fame, not for money, but for the thrill of solving the impossible. They studied birds, how wings curved, how air lifted them, and they built gliders, testing them on the windy sand dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Every flight ended in failure, but every failure taught them something new. Wilbur once said, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently." They fixed one thing at a time. They tested every wing angle, every curve. They fell, they bled, they broke bones, but never their spirit. And after years of disappointment, on a cold December morning in 1903, they were ready to try again. December 17, 1903. The air was freezing in Kitty Hawk. The brothers were nervous, but calm. Orville lay flat on the wooden frame of their flying machine. Wilbur steadied the wings. The engine rattled. The propellers spun. And then, the impossible happened. The machine lifted. It wasn't high. It wasn't long. But it flew. 12 seconds in the air. Only 120 feet. But in that short flight, humanity broke the limits of gravity. As Orville touched down, he looked back at Wilbur, eyes wide with disbelief. They laughed like children. They hugged. Because in that moment, they had changed the world forever. That photograph, the one showing their fragile machine rising above the sand, became the moment where human dreams. The world didn't believe them at first. Some called it a hoax. But soon, the truth could no longer be denied. The Wright brothers had done it. What kings, scientists, and inventors had dreamed of for centuries. And they did it not in a lab. Not with a government grant, but in a small bicycle shop. With wood, cloth, courage, and endless curiosity. They taught us that flight isn't just about wings. It's about faith. Faith that what you imagine can someday become real. Wilbur once said, "It is possible to fly without motors, but not without knowledge and skill." And Orville added, "If we all worked on the assumption that what is accepted as true is really true, there would be little hope of advance." Today, every airplane, every rocket, every dream that soars into the sky is built upon their persistence. They were just two brothers with a crazy idea, who refused to give up. And that's the real secret of flight. Not just wings, but the will to rise again. Music swells, then fades to calm. Voice, final line, emotional close. The Wright brothers didn't just build a plane. They taught humanity to look up and believe we could fly.